Hey guys, welcome to another video from Historic Militaria. Today we're going to be looking at one of the first post-World War I Bolos that Mauser made. And this is a very low serial number gun for the Bolo range. Figure that wartime commercial production went through about 422 or 23,000. And this gun is actually in the 440,000 serial number range. So it's pretty soon after World War I. Mauser is just getting back on their feet. Germany is definitely in the throes of a lot of chaos. So you figure this is probably 1920, 1921. The French gendarme contract, which was, of course, a Bolo style upper, so a very short barrel with a full-sized lower. Had just finished, and those were about 2,000 guns from about 432,000 to about 434,000. And this is, again, about serial number 440,000. So it's really just when Mauser is starting to get Bolo production underway. And Bolos are going to be sort of the staple gun that they're going to make for the next several hundred thousand serial numbers. You're not going to see a lot of full-sized Mausers until about serial number 700,000. So really from about 440 to about 700,000, the majority are going to be Bolos. You will see some strange variants. We've looked at some long-barrel Bolos, which are actually just a standard long-barreled or normal-barreled Mauser on a Bolo frame. But those were sort of one-offs and really small groups of guns, maybe 500 to 2,000 of each. So this is just the standard gun that when we talk about Bolos and you think about Bolos, this is what you're going to be looking at. This has all the classic features, except for a couple of things that we'll look at too. Allegedly, the Bolo name came from a sort of a shortened Bolshevik because the Soviet Revolution, or the Soviet revolutionaries, the Bolsheviks, used so many of these. You know, they did use a lot. And as a matter of fact, Mausers were actually used in the execution of the royal family in 1918. I think it was 1918, for the royal family of Tsar Nicholas. And one or two of those were used, which are now preserved in the museum in Yekaterinburg. And but those were full-size guns. Those were actually wartime commercials. So the first thing you notice about this is got the standard Bolo small frame here with a small grip. You've got your standard really nice commercial grade wood. And this one's actually stamped made in Germany, which makes me think that it was actually being sent to a English-speaking country, probably the United States, which would definitely be interesting. A lot of the others were just marked Germany if they were for export, but made in Germany definitely makes me think maybe England, a Commonwealth country, United States, something like that. There are no British proofs on this, though, which sort of makes me think that it was for the American market. Obviously, this gun is in essentially unfired and unissued condition. You've got your very nice fire blue. Mauser was still using fire blue on the small parts. You've got your fire blue bolt stop, and just a really nice looking gun. You've got your standard Mauser marking right here. And the bluing is back up to the pre-war standards that I think everyone sort of would expect from Mauser. Your panel polish and your panel milling are also excellent. And again, on this grip as well, stamped made in Germany. The way that's stamped definitely makes me think it was done at the factory. It's very professional, very neat, very German and Mauser looking. And you've got your very vivid, nice fire blue on this gun with your Crown U acceptance mark and your early Bolo serial number with a standard Mauser chamber marking. Again, very nice fire blue on this. The interesting thing about this one is it's got a 50 to 500 sight, and you will see that on a lot of the early Bolos. They seem to stick with this 50 to 500 sight on a lot of them. They also used it on the French gendarme contract, so that might have been some leftover rear sights that they had. Could have been some leftover rear sights from the Red 9 contract that were never delivered, because as you know, Red 9s, which were a wartime gun, actually used a 50 to 500 sight as well. This one is cut for a shoulder stock, and the shoulder stock on this is a standard sized stock, but it does have, the cutout is smaller and made for a Bolo. We will look at shoulder stocks in future videos. They're just problematic with the guns right now because of access issues for some of these guns. Sometimes I've got access to certain firearms and sometimes I don't. Anyway, this is just one that I thought would be interesting to look at, interesting to share. You don't see Bolos from this period very much, certainly not in this condition. A lot of them went to various revolutions and various causes in Eastern Europe, and obviously in Soviet Russia, and they got used up pretty well. This one evidently did not, probably because I think it probably went to America, where it sat in a drawer. You've got your standard magazine floor plate, everything else. No other interesting markings that tell you anything really about the gun. Again, you've got some sort of nonsensical markings underneath the barrel, but remember, those are just control and sort of, I think, assembly numbers for the gun itself at the factory. They don't mean anything. But this is one of a few that did survive in good shape, and just sort of an interesting Bolo that never saw service. So if you like what you're seeing, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'm always interested in comments. If you've got one in the serial number range, if you know maybe what the made in Germany specifically means. Was that just something they stamped on guns that were going to Europe? Were they stamping it for only English-speaking countries? I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. And as always, thanks for watching, and I hope to do more for you.